Hello everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Teaching English to Kids, a journey of fun learning. I'm Paola Pando, and in this episode and the following ones, we are going to dive into one of the most fascinating questions for teachers of English. How do children actually learn a second language? We'll start by reviewing general learning theories. Then, focus on how these ideas apply to children's brain. And finally, I will give you some practical tips to design effective English lessons based on theory and research. They are children, but this is serious practice. Let's begin with the big picture. Over the years, psychologists and linguists have developed different theories to explain how we learn. Let's have a look to the most important ones. Number 1, behaviorism by Skinner. If you have been to school, you know this theory very well. This is a very popular learning theory in education, widely used for teachers. Prizes, punishments are associated to this theory. In terms of learning, this theory simply states that it happens through repetition, imitation, and reinforcement. Habit formation is part of the learning process. Remember, when you were a child, your mother used to tell you every day, brush your teeth, did you brush your teeth? The same with language learning. Repetition and habit formation are part of what we integrate in this process. For language learning, this means children might repeat words or phrases and receive prizes or correction, but especially repetition, recycling, and practicing the same structure several times. We will see this in the following episode with much more details. Useful activities for learning in this case, based on this theory, establish daily routines. Songs, showing and practice basic vocabulary all the time. So establish a routine to recycling the vocabulary you have seen during the week, for example. Recycling those expressions or words as much as possible. What is our second theory? Cognitivism by Jean Piaget. Young children's cognitive processes are different from those of adults. Our kids are not young adults. They learn differently. They have special characteristics. Their cognitive process is different, and we need to understand and respect it in order for them to learn the language nicely. Stephen Krashen always says, you can learn the language through explanations, formulas, and forcing them to reproduce, but this way is painful. If you do it following the natural path, that is funny and enjoyable. So learning is about building knowledge step by step, adapting to new information to the old one. Children are active learners who build meaning. Piaget said that children learn language and concepts through active exploration and by interacting with other children and their environment. He also said that children develop differently and learn new things only when they are ready to do so. This is super important. Do not force children to do some things they are not prepared for. Based on this information, there is the need to connect new words, new structures with children's prior knowledge. Activation of prior knowledge prepares children's brain for learning. We will see more about this when we talk about planning some activities. So the education system should therefore allow for children to learn at their own pace and encourage learning without teachers being the center of the process, because sometimes we are, and you know that. Number 3, The third theory we will work today is sociocultural theory by Vygotsky. What this theory says: learning happens through interaction with others. You know that Noam Chomsky, actually, with his acquisition part of the brain, I forgot the name, acquisition, LAD, language acquisition device, that's it, I'm sorry, I forgot the name. He says that we born with that, but it's actually triggered by social interaction, by people talking to you. See, so that we are social creatures. So this Vygotsky theory also implies the concept of the zone of proximal development, that is the gap between what a learner already knows and can do on their own and what they can potentially achieve with the support of a more skilled person, such as a teacher or more capable peer. In practice, in the classroom, these show why group activities, peer interaction, and teacher scaffolding are so powerful. Children learn better if they are guided or learning is scaffolded. That means supported by someone else. So small groups with mixed abilities learn by finding out and trying things by themselves. See? In conclusion, children need to be actively involved in activities to learn new things and in the interaction with others. That is the social cultural theory by Vygotsky. What about the fourth one? The fourth theory we will discuss today is Krashen's input hypothesis. I have to make a confession about that. This is my favorite one, and he is my favorite linguist. What does it state? Learners acquire language when they are exposed to input, and that input is understandable but slightly above their level, also known as the formula I plus 1. What the child is able to understand and a little bit more challenging words and expressions. Children are not capable to produce at the beginning. What they are going to do if they do not have anything what are they going to do or to say if they do not have anything in their brains yet? See? Remember when you were a child, it took a year or more to produce your first words in your native language, and you were exposed to that language all the time. See? Producing the language is something that takes long time. As a teacher, what you must provide is input. That means you have to expose your kids to stories, to songs, games, chants, and activities that they can mostly understand, but that also stretch their ability a little further. In short, behaviorists stress repetition, habit formation. Cognitivists focus on mental processes and respect their own pace. Sociocultural theorists on interaction, social interaction, and Krashen on comprehensible input. Together, they give us a toolkit for understanding how kids learn and what we can do in our classroom. Let's summarize the main implications of the beliefs and concept for primary teaching. Number 1, a learner-centered approach, not teacher-centered approach. Currently, we are focused much more on teaching than learning. Learning is what we should worry about. Number 2, learners need to be actively involved in the learning process. They are not passive recipients. Remember Piaget's theory. They need to explore, they need to touch, they need to live the language, experience the language. Number 3, interaction with others through different kind of activities, pair work, group work, games. Those are very important. Number 5, teachers should provide opportunities for learning. Please focus on this sentence. Opportunities for learning rather than forcing something specific to learn. Children need an environment in which they can explore and discover new things. A multisensory approach to learning is needed. The teacher role is to support, to encourage and guide. We are facilitators, not controllers. Don't forget that. Activities need to be meaningful to children and they need to be scaffolded, so children are supported and guided and can achieve what we expect they achieve. So let's recap. Children learn a second language through a mix of repetition, mental construction, social interaction, and exposure to understandable input. As teachers, our role is not just to teach words, but to design experiences that connect with children's brains, emotions, and social worlds. Experiences. That is what you have to do. Provide the right environment so as children to live experiences. Next time you plan your English class, think about this question. Am I teaching for the children's brain, respecting their natural pace, or just for the textbook? So think about it. Okay guys, that's all for today's episode of Teaching English to Kids, a journey of fun learning. I hope these ideas inspire your next lesson. If you found this helpful, share it with a colleague and stay tuned for the next episode where we'll talk about children's brains and how they learn according to the neuroscience. Neuroscience and education, they are in fashion today. So thanks for listening, and remember, every word you teach is opening a new world for a child. Goodbye, everyone.